My now ex-fiancée and I got engaged 3 weeks ago. We've been dating for 5 years, and I finally got the money to give her the wedding she wanted. Well, 3 days ago, we were discussing our guest list, and I asked if she wanted to invite her best friend. Let's call him James. James lives in another state, but since they were friends for 10 years, I thought I could even pay for his travel expenses, since it would be great to have her best friend at the wedding. She denied, saying that it would take a lot of work to bring him, and she wanted it to be a family event. Countless times she mentioned that James was like family to her, so I insisted. She got annoyed and said I didn't even tell him we were engaged. That took me by surprise. I tried to ask why, but she started stonewalling me, and I left her alone. After a couple of hours, I tried to ask her again why she hadn't told him we were engaged, and she still refused to tell me. I admit, my insecurity got the better of me. In the past, James had confessed he had feelings for her, which she turned down and basically friend-zoned him. But by the way she told me, it always sounded like she had him as a backup, something not only me, but her exes realized. She married him online, and they always made their WoW characters look like a couple. When she had a fight with her exes, he was always there for her. I told her that made me uncomfortable, and if she was not planning to tell him, she might as well consider herself single, because I would not marry someone who couldn't be honest. Yes, I was pretty immature, but she did something even more immature. She texted him while showing me her phone, something like, "Hey, just so you know, I was engaged, but not anymore," and sent it to him. I told her to pack her things and leave my house. Ever since she left, she has been calling me, but I refused to answer. My mom called me because she apparently called my mom and said that I was a jerk for ending things for such a ridiculous thing. So, am I the jerk? Now for a few comments. One commenter said, "NTA, there is a reason she won't tell her best friend that she plans on getting married. I mean, most women think getting married is one of the biggest things in life and tell everyone she knows. Unless it will put a damper on something. You know, boyfriends hate hearing their girlfriend is getting married." Another commenter shared, "The night I proposed, I am pretty sure that my wife was on the phone before I even heard a yes with as many people as she could think to call." Then another commenter added, "Haha, right? Mine was still naked when she started calling people." Someone else shared, "Lol, my husband and I had been to a friend's wedding earlier that day. Lying in bed watching TV later, he said, 'We should get married.' He'd mentioned it before, but reneged, so I was like, 'Yeah, right. Okay, sure.' He said, 'I'm going to call my mom.' I realized he was 100% serious this time. He's not a mama's boy, but that's how I knew he meant it, Lomeo. I waited until he called her and put her on speakerphone, and then I called people, lol. 14 years together and 10 married, 1 child. So I get it." Another commenter suggested, "So your ex-fiancée didn't want to tell her boyfriend about you. Unless you're poly, sounds like a great reason to end an engagement. If you want to confirm that she was cheating, offer to meet up with her for lunch. When you get there, tell her if she wants any chance with you, she needs to unlock her phone, and you read all of her messages between him and her on all media. I'm sure you will find more than enough to confirm that leaving is the best choice." Then another commenter replied, "Even in a poly relationship, that's still messed up lying and cheating. Polyamory requires honesty and transparency in each of the relationships." The original commenter responded, "Poly allows you to make rules based off of how you and your partner agree. I have known a couple of people who have had successful, don't ask, don't tell polyamorous relationships. That is their choice and how they choose to be. That is the only time I could figure out how this could possibly be okay. That is why I put that exception. But some people who are poly don't accept, don't ask, don't tell as a viable relationship. And to that I say, allow people to make their own choices on how they choose to be in a relationship, the same way you would like people to allow you to choose. Personally, with my 16 years experience with polyamory, I prefer kitchen table poly, but I also accept that people have different things that work for them." Another commenter said, "You've done well to get rid of one woman who claims to love you but fundamentally doesn't respect you and believes you should be eat shoot in your relationships. Sadly, you've still got another woman who fits that description, your mother, and it'll be trickier to get rid of her." Now for the update 1 day later. Hey guys, I just got home after talking to my still ex-fiancée, and since a lot of people asked for an update, here it is. But I want to clarify a few things. As commented on my original post, I pay for the house since I bought it before dating her, and I asked her to move in since it was close to her job. I work from home since I'm in tech, but she had to go to work. That's why I paid for her car to help her commute, and honestly, her salary is shoot. I was her partner, so I didn't see any problem with that. I thought she was the one, despite everything. She is smart, funny, we had chemistry, but I felt betrayed. To the update, we met at a coffee shop on the premise we would discuss how to save our relationship. At least, that's what she thought. As soon as we sat down, I asked to see their messages. She got defensive immediately and told me she had deleted everything. I asked to see her phone anyway. She started to cry, ugly cry, asking me to stop. At that point, I had already decided I was not going to be part of the relationship anymore, but damn, I was curious. It took a good 20 minutes for her to hand me her phone. A lot of crying, even a waitress asking her if she was okay. So I read the messages. There wasn't any cheating, like nudes being exchanged, them professing their love for each other, but what I read still stung. There was a lot of shoot talking about me. A lot. Texts and texts of them saying how terrible of a person I was, criticizing my hobbies. I like video games and pro wrestling, saying I wasn't a real man because of them and stuff like that. But there were two topics that caught my eye. One where she had told him I was having trouble getting hard, and that was frustrating for her. And one where she was complaining about how she didn't want to be stuck in our relationship. Yes, I was having problems in bed because I was sad because my father had passed away 6 months ago. And the stuck thing, I remember telling her that when we got married, if she wanted, she could leave her job and I would provide for both of us. I don't know if she took this the wrong way, but I guess it was related to that. I honestly don't know. I gave her the phone back, and she started making excuses about why she was saying those things to him, claiming he was like a therapist for her. Then she asked me, "Don't you complain about me to your friends?" And I simply replied, "No, I don't." She started crying again. I took a deep breath and said, "Just give me the ring back." She hesitated a bit, but gave it to me anyway. I stood up and asked her to delete my number and not to bother me anymore. I called her mom and asked her to pick up her daughter's stuff at my place. Her mom is a good person, and I'm realizing I'm going to miss her as I write this. She understood why I decided to end it, but she didn't ask much, and to be honest, I'm glad she didn't. As for my mom, I didn't call her. I just blocked her for things unrelated to this post. I realized she never had my back in anything, and I was always trying to save an already failed mom-son relationship. Before I leave, I just want to clarify. I was never against her having male friends, or any type of friends. People are going to cheat, friends or no friends. I remember my dad saying something to me when I was a teenager. He always said, "Opportunity makes the thief," but I do not agree with that. Anyway, since I have the next 2 weeks off work, I'm going to figure out what to do with the wedding money, drink some booze, play games, and watch Monday Night Raw later. Peace. Edit. A couple of people are asking about the car. It's a 2015 Nissan Versa, which she crashed 2 times, both times rear-ending someone. I never liked the car. Weak engine, the interior feels cheap, and overall bad. So for all I care, she can keep that piece of shoot. I would have more luck throwing it off a cliff than selling it. Edit 2. Little update. Her mom called me a few hours ago to check on me and to ask when she could come and pick up my ex's stuff. We spoke about the car, and she basically forbid me to let her daughter keep the car because, 1, I paid for it. 2, my ex wouldn't be able to maintain it, so I'm going to keep the car until I'm able to sell it. God help me. Also, some people called the story fake because they said I wasn't a real man for playing games, and yet they played WoW. To be honest, that's on me because I wasn't very clear. The real man thing was more about the pro wrestling hobby than the gaming hobby, but in some messages, they clearly mocked me for playing some games, Life is Strange series. In one, I remember James saying something like, "How could a grown-ass man play such a girly game and cry?" Yes, I cried playing Life is Strange. I also cried to RDR 2. The I'm Afraid cutscene still makes me emotional. I'm a crybaby, I guess. I want to thank everyone who messaged me to talk about wrestling and games. It really helped me take my mind off everything. I haven't replied to everyone, but I intend to. If anything happens, I'll let you guys know. Be good people. Now for a few comments. Draydon9 said, James saying you're not a real man because you play video games, while simultaneously creating his WoW character to match a girl who smacked him into the friend zone/backup plan option, is galactic levels of cuck-fueled irony. OP, you gave your time, effort, and money to someone who didn't deserve it. It's unfortunate, but it can happen. Take some time to heal and become the best version of yourself. All the best. Fiancée added, ouch, that was nicely done. This girl seems to be playing with 2 nice guys. Probably more than that, her ATM and her friend-zoned cuck. Then Fiancée continued, dodge the ballistic missile. She did not want to be stuck to you. Then why cry for a marriage she doesn't want? Oh, but she is going to miss the wedding. That's what she wanted. Let's see if her best friend/boyfriend can provide her with one. Oh man, there are 4 billion women on this planet. Be patient. Yours will find her way to you, but not this POS. Am I the idiot for wanting to witness my child's birth and being called a sick freak by my wife? Me, male 24, and my wife, female 27, have been married since Eid 2023. Male, she's pregnant with our first child. Her due date is tomorrow. Throughout her pregnancy, until the weekend before last, she has been vague about her not wanting to be in the delivery room. She wants her sister, female 31, in there. With the last few months, I have watched videos of women giving birth. It doesn't weird me out. It seems nice to see the beginning of life. So with that, the weekend before last, I asked my wife if she's sure that she doesn't want me in the delivery room. She got upset with me. She said it's going to be embarrassing for her, that she's going to poop on the table, people will see her body, and that she'll be sweating. She said she's doing me a favor by not letting me see all that. She said, I'm either lying that I want to see all that, or I'm some kind of sick freak. She said, no normal husband really wants to see the birthing process. That normal husbands want to see their baby and wife after both get cleaned up. I took no as an answer, but she's still upset that I even asked. I know she's sensitive about her pregnancy weight gain and her pregnancy looks in general. I'm new to this, so I don't know. Do fathers usually want to see the birthing process? Am I a sick freak that I legitimately want to see? Was I weird for asking to see? Am I the jerk? Now for a few comments. I think she looks more beautiful now than she did before. I have never told her that because I don't think she'll believe me. She doesn't believe me when I just simply tell her that I think she looks beautiful. She has definitely lost control over her body during all of this. She has pregnancy acne and a pregnancy nose. She gained over 40 pounds. She's gassy. I feel bad that she thinks she's ugly and gross. I know women are under a lot of pressure by the media to look a certain way. I will not pressure her. I will try my best to avoid adding stress to her. She's so close to doing one of the most stressful things a human being can do. She doesn't need to worry about anything else. I want her to know that I love her, I appreciate her, I'll support her, and I think she's beautiful as she is. Maybe my wife needs therapy. Maybe I need to try harder. Whatever it takes, I'll be there for her. I really hope this isn't crude. I apologize in advance if it is. I'm more attracted to her now than ever, but we haven't been intimate since her 3rd month. She rejected me enough times for me to tell her, I'm game anytime and any place she's ready. She either doesn't believe or pretends that she doesn't believe when I say I find her beautiful. She hasn't allowed me to see her naked body in a while. I've definitely respected her decision not to see the birth. That's water under the bridge. Maybe after the birth, she believes me when I tell her that I think she looks beautiful. She accuses me of being a liar when I do that. I don't think my wife is implying that her sister is more important. My wife doesn't want any men involved in the delivery. The doctor is a woman. Everyone in the room will be a woman. I've already asked if I can be just by her head. She said no to that too. Hopefully, it's just insecurity. I wouldn't try to change her mind now. She's still upset with me for me asking the weekend before last weekend. I have complimented her stretch marks already. That didn't go well. Baby time, or a false alarm. Now for the update. 13 hours later. This is one of the happiest updates in Reddit history. Me, female 24, and my sister-in-law, female 31, were alerted when my wife, female 27, had apparently felt some pain. My wife was so sure that she wasn't in labor, but me and sister-in-law were cautiously optimistic. We promised my wife that if it was a false alarm, we would buy her cheesecake. At the hospital, my wife talked to her favorite doctor, 42F. My wife seemed so shocked when the doc said it was labor. My wife actually wanted both me and her sister to be with her. The labor and birth were smoother than even my most hopeful mental image of how this would be. It was fast, and there were no complications. It seems like our daughter was determined to come out before the due date. My wife allowed both me and sister-in-law to help. I saw everything. I saw our daughter for the first time. This tiny, wrinkled, weird-looking thing is beautiful. My wife looked so happy. It felt like me and her were us again. I told her how beautiful, wonderful, strong, brave, and motherly she was. She actually accepted that compliment. She decided to name our daughter after her sister. Despite how smooth and amazing the labor and birth were, I will still look out for PPD. I will still encourage my wife to see therapy, given how intense her body image issues were from month 3 of pregnancy. I hope she will accept couples counseling. I do understand that her intense happiness at the birth doesn't mean she'll continue to be this happy. This was the most love I ever felt for her. What she did was amazing. I'm so glad that she had actually trusted me to see that. I love our daughter so much, more than I thought I could love anyone. My wife is now second place, but obviously I still love her very much. I couldn't ask for more. Then OP commented, too late, she gave birth already, and she did poop on the table. Am I the idiot for uninviting my fiancé's manipulative sister from our wedding and choosing love over toxic family drama? My fiancé Charles and I have been together for 6 years. We were getting married at the end of November. He is the most warm-hearted, loving, and caring man I have ever met. I love him with all my heart, and he is the most important person in my life. He has a very strained relationship with his parents since childhood. He moved out of his childhood house when he was 16 because he wanted to make his own decisions in life and get educated. His parents have never been there for him, not even when he was 19 and got cancer. They never visited him in the hospital or were there for him. They have always focused on his sister, the golden child. After some years of struggling and fighting cancer, he started his own company, which became a successful business. 6 years ago, he bought my parents' neighbor's house. My parents liked him from the start. I met him for the first time that autumn, and we just fell in love from the first day we met. So I quit my job in the city, moved to the countryside, and got a new job here. Everything has been great between us. My parents love him, and he's like the son they never had. My fiancée loves spending time with my dad, fishing and hunting, and they enjoy each other's company and learn new things in life. During these 6 years, I have never met his parents. He has explained to me and my parents that he doesn't want them in his life because they are toxic. He has shared some stories from his childhood with me and even with my father. I talked with my parents about it, and they just told me to respect Charles and let him deal with this issue because it's not up to me to decide. I actually like my sister-in-law, but Charles tells me I am naive. She is not a good person and will do everything in her power to gain control over me and just wants to get something out of it. Well, we have planned our wedding, and it's not a big wedding. It's our choice. We will have around 50 guests, and my parents have insisted on paying for their only daughter and child's wedding. The wedding is set in 6 weeks. Everything is booked. The venue, meals, free bar, and everything is done. We invited my sister-in-law, her husband, and their kids to our wedding, along with some of Charles's cousins and his grandparents on his father's side, with whom he has very good connections and who are just lovely. Yesterday, Charles got a text from his mother saying she was overwhelmed with joy that she and Charles's father were invited. She texted him about how happy she was because his sister had been visiting them and told them that they were invited. I was home when Charles arrived from work, furious and angry. I have never seen him so upset. He was shouting loudly, not at me, but at the situation. My parents, who were in their garden, could hear and came over to see if everything was okay. He was so angry at his sister and his parents. And then he shared some other stories from his childhood that left my parents with their mouths wide open. I started to cry about what he told me. We spoke all evening, and I can't remember when we fell asleep. Today, I withdrew my sister-in-law's invitation to our wedding and told her to text her parents and tell them they are not invited. She called me immediately and told me that I was selfish, arrogant, and an awful person. She said I had to understand that she did this to build a bridge and a new relationship for Charles and his parents. I told her she has no right to interfere in my fiancé's relationship with his parents, and that this is something between Charles and his parents. I just told her bye. After this, I received some horrible text messages from Charles's extended family, who are not even invited to our wedding. Charles is still upset about it and told me today this is the reason why he didn't want me to get involved with his toxic family. Now Charles feels that the wedding, which should be a happy day for us, is destroyed, and he wants to cancel our wedding and just go to my mother's parents, who live in Europe, and have a small wedding there. He just wants to stay away from all his family, except for 6 or 7 family members with whom he has very good and respectful relationships. I told him I don't want to go to Europe because then we have lost. We would be escaping. I want to have my wedding here, but he is afraid that his toxic family will show up and ruin our marriage that day. I am very sad for Charles. My parents don't know what good they can do for him and me. Maybe I should just go ahead, cancel our wedding here, and get married in an embassy in Europe? Now for a few comments. Idols at Cranky thinks you're feeling bad and maybe defensive because he warned you to stay away from his sister. You didn't really get it, and it turns out he was right. Plus, everything for the wedding is set, and you don't want to change all your lovely plans and probably lose money too. That's understandable, but the reality is that now the wedding is spoiled for him, and it's become a source of anger and anxiety. That's not what a wedding should be. So, what to do? You have a lot of options. You can just simply do as he asks. Or, you could change the date of the wedding, keep everything else the same, not tell anyone from the toxic family, and go ahead. You could do as someone else suggested and have security at the venue turn away anyone not on your list. You could change the wedding date and venue, but not go to another country. It could be that with a little time, he will feel differently and want to go ahead with your original plans. But none of this is the most important thing. What's most important now is for you to stop thinking about the wedding for the time being and think about your marriage. You need to let your fiancé know that you're on his side, that you support him, that you never really understood how terrible these people were, and you're sorry about that. You need to put your love as a couple front and center, and the wedding on the back burner. Give him time to calm down and recalibrate and put his focus back on his love for you and the family you're creating together and off his toxic relatives. If that means you have to cancel the wedding for now, then do it. The decades you hope to spend together, happily married, are far more important than the wedding day. Eat This Shit agrees, saying so many people forget that it's not about the dress and the party, but about the life after that. They agree with the rest of the advice as well. Give your future husband some time to cool down and talk things through. Go through your options, from security at the venue to eloping altogether and everything in between. There's still time. You two need to get on the same page, and you shouldn't let your guilt trick you into thinking about winning and losing. You can go through with the wedding as planned, but as it stands now, it seems like that'll lose you your relationship eventually. If you don't show him you understand his anger and frustrations, this ordeal will be the first couple of bricks that'll build resentment. El Dicamaisi suggests they can elope in Europe if they want, and then when everything has cooled down, they can have their party and a ceremony at home with her family and the ones from his family that they like. Thank you very much for your message. Yes, we will focus on our marriage, and this is what we're going to do. It will be a wedding in Norway, the best solution for Charles and for me. Best wishes. Now for the update. I want to thank each and every one of you for all the messages. I have read them all many times, and I appreciate everyone who has been writing messages to me. So thank you for all the input and good advice. It's been a very busy day. Charles went to work, and I had the day off. Charles eventually arrived back home during his lunch break, and we went to our parents. We talked about it, and I showed my mother this post, and she read all the comments too. We did cancel our wedding venues and everything, but not our marriage. My mother explained to the catering what has happened and why this happened. They all understood, and the venue was canceled free of charge. The catering was also fantastic, and we just lost our deposit. But that's not the end of the world. It's been a busy morning and afternoon. My mother called my grandparents in Norway, and we are all going there. Charles is just happy, and he called his best man, his wife, and his grandparents and asked if they could go, and they all accepted the invitation for Norway. My parents will pay for their tickets and accommodation for their 5-day stay in Norway. Altogether, 15 of us from the Boston area will travel to Tromsø for the wedding there. My grandparents in Norway are thrilled, and they will arrange for the dinner and everything there. My maid of honor is super excited that I will have it in Norway, so she doesn't need to travel. Charles's best man and his wife are so happy with this solution. It will just take around 10 days to get our marriage papers in order, which is a little different from a marriage in the USA. I have apologized to Charles so many times now, and today he just told me to stop apologizing and move forward, and that this is not going to destroy our life together. I made a terrible mistake, but we seriously believe that his sister, in one way or another, had changed. Charles has blamed himself today because he didn't say no when I asked him to invite his sister. But this is all on me because I seriously didn't understand. I have blocked all his family on my phone and social media, and so has he, and my parents too. I am thankful for all your messages. I know I wrote it when I was very heated up, and some words might have been expressed in a different way. I will get my dream man and my dream wedding, and even my wedding dress that belonged to my mother, which hasn't been used since 1988. It's all about our marriage, as someone wrote in a post, and I totally agree. Marriage plus us equals our future. Thank you again for all your good advice and for all your input. Best from Caroline.